Well, hey everybody, this is Chris DiFiorio from Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by the Ground Control Cyclops Brewer from Voga Coffee. The Ground Control Cyclops Brewer is a revolutionary brewer. It's leveling up what we can expect from batch brewing. The SCA award-winning technology, it gives you control over a range of flavors in the coffee that is just breathtaking. And not only will this completely change the game in terms of the quality of your batch brew, but it's also so versatile in what it can do for other items on your menu. It can make tea, hot chocolate, it can make batch iced lattes, cold brew. And as we continue to build resiliency into our business, we need equipment that works with us and is just as agile as we need to be to succeed. And for those huge reasons, I highly recommend getting a ground control brewer for your shop. To find out more information, go to their website over at vogacoffee.com. That's VOGA coffee.com. This episode is also brought to you by Espressly. Espressly works with you, the independent coffee shop owners. You work so hard to develop your brand and create a wonderful experience for your customers. Now, Espressly allows you to create your own beautiful, elegantly functional, branded mobile app. And it really combines the convenience of mobile ordering with the experience that your customers have come to love from what you've created. It's a no-risk model. It's free setup. It integrates with Square. It has a drive-through payment scanner, receipt and label printing capabilities. You keep all the data yourself. Really, Espressly exists to serve the needs of the independent coffee shop like you, and bring the convenience of mobile ordering together with the experience your customers know and love through your own branded app. Highly recommend that you go check them out. Sign up today. Learn more over at espressly.co. That's espressly.co. Okay, everyone. So today I wanted to talk to you about how great baristas are not born, they're made. And if you're a fan of my friend Dave Stachowiak's podcast, Coaching for Leaders, you'll recognize that phrase. His tagline is, great leaders are not born, they're made. And the same, I think, is true with baristas. So I'm borrowing a phrase a little bit here, but I think one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this is because when we're hiring baristas, when we're trying to find good staff for our coffee shops, there's this notion that if we've hired correctly, that the barista will immediately get it, that they will require minimum effort. And in fact, if you take two baristas, like one is the one who gets it really quick, they've already read the entire manual, they could cite chapter and verse, they know their recipes, et cetera, et cetera. And then another person is just exuberant about the job, but they just don't get it as much, and they're slower to learn, and you find yourself having to correct them a lot more often than the other person. Well, guess who's the favorite child right now? It's the one who quickly got it, because they're taking so much off of my plate. I don't have to worry about them. They're so confident, blah, blah, blah. And the other person is like, oh, they're asking me again about a ratio or something like that. And we think, I don't know what it is, but I kind of wish I didn't hire them, right? Oh, I must have made a hiring mistake, and so now I'm going to go online and I'm going to find a podcast about hiring, and so I don't have to hire people who don't get it, and I can find more of that, my star player. I need more of that person, is what we think. Well, the bad news for us is that those people are few and far between, and it's not a hack. It's not a algorithm or whatever that brings them to us that we can tap into. It's just not something that we should be chasing. In fact, it's not even relevant to whether or not that person is a good barista, believe it or not. I have seen so many really star baristas, quote unquote star baristas, that are the apple of the owner's eye, be the worst employees, be the worst cheerleaders for the company, divisive. I can go on and on. They get big heads. They don't learn lessons very well. They just assume a position of leadership. There's lots of drawbacks to somebody who just sort of assumes a place of stature. And when we give it to them, we play into that. Even if the employee is not trying to do that, we put a stumbling block in their way. We end up giving them less attention. Right? They're good. We don't need to monitor them or anything else. And we end up abandoning them or just leaving them out on their own because after all, if I don't have to watch them and they can do really great work, then that's a dream come true for an owner. Well, I mean, maybe for an owner who wants to disengage and abdicate their responsibility to be a hands-on leader, that would be a dream come true. But I hope that's not us. I think it's clear from the history of shows on Keys to the Shop, that's not the type of leadership that leads to a great culture, great employees. And the person who doesn't get it oftentimes does want to get it, but maybe they're just a slow learner or they have a different learning style. And maybe we need to take more time, but that investment oftentimes will pay dividends, especially if you've hired somebody who is dedicated to the vision, who is a hard worker, but maybe having a hard time retaining information. And I realize there's a gray area here and that there's bad apples that make their way into the staff, and maybe you do make hiring mistakes. Somebody's constantly opening the cafe late. Somebody is not just forgetting sometimes about a certain drink ratio, but willingly ignorant of that ratio. And it's evident that this person is like combative to training, right? These are the type of people, I don't really need to go into it. You can tell. What I'm more talking about are the people who are seeking to learn in earnest and have a hard time, retaining some of that information or tamping level because this is their first coffee job or something like that. I've seen a lot of those people be the biggest cheerleaders for the company because they've earned so much in experience after being trained for, so long. Maybe they got trained longer than other individuals. And that win for them means a lot more because they worked so much for it. And I've seen it again where people who just walk into a place easily and can do everything, they're the ones that turn out not to be great employees. And the ones who have to work a little harder for it, they can sometimes be the ones who end up being great long-term employees, again, because of what they've had to work for. The question is, are we working for them? We don't need more hands-off leadership in specialty coffee. We need owners who are willing to go into that training process knowing that there's going to be a curveball thrown their way, not having some attitude of entitlement, like you are entitled to have baristas that just get it. And if you don't, then, you're miffed that they are not getting it. We can't be like that. We might not know how to teach them as well as we did this other person. But this is part of being a leader, training ourselves to expect a little bit of the unexpected. And you can't really determine if you've made a bad hire just based on how quickly someone gets up to speed. There is a lot to consider in ourselves and in the business and in the onboarding process before we go around saying, well, this person's not working out because they just, quote unquote, don't get it. So let's be of the mind that says great baristas are not born, they're made. And who makes those baristas? Well, it's a combined effort. If you've hired the type of person who wants to learn and wants to do a good job, cool. That's their effort, matched with yours. Your effort in bringing them up to speed, your effort in training them, in helping make them a great barista over time. We're a little too impatient with this process, and we're too quick to complain about the amount of work that we need to put in sometimes to help good people do a good job in the coffee shop. And I fear there are a lot of people that have been let go that just needed maybe an extra training session or two, maybe another few weeks, and they would have been golden. But they moved on. They maybe left the coffee industry or they went to work for another coffee shop, and we'll never know. You have a threshold for what you know is diminishing returns for your business. I'm not saying you shouldn't have that. Again, there's all sorts of gray areas here, but this is just an encouragement to start with a mindset that we are in the business of making great baristas, of helping that process along, of developing people and giving them every chance at success and improving the way that we do our job in that capacity. If we approach it that way, instead of pitting the quick learner against the slower learner, then I think we're going to have a better chance at having a more well-rounded and stable staff in our coffee shops. These are the types of questions that I will get often from my consulting clients. And if you would like to sign up for consulting and explore what that looks like, then please email me, chris@keystotheshop.com. So I hope that this episode was helpful for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me, and I will see you here next week on another edition of Shift Break, from keys to the shop.